Hello, everyone. Welcome this Friday afternoon. We have Hogarth with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. And we're going to do something a little different today, something that we don't normally do. We're going to read on each other. We thought you might like a behind the scenes look at what we do. Because we do actually do little readings on each other sometimes, Ganga too. And yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. And first of all, thank you so much for having me back on your channel. And so I hope you just know, I hope you know what you've let yourself in for, Dianne.
Oh,
I'm not
Lord.
revealing all your secrets, but
Should I be scared?
No, not scared, not scared, but you are definitely going to learn some very interesting things about the transits of the planets tonight and how they may have affected you recently.
Oh, because I've had a lot of changes recently, that's for sure. It's been energetic. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure.
You do?
Okay.
Okay.
So everyone, again, thanks so much here. Now, Diane and I mean, we have done a sort of like a reading in the past, but of course, so much changes with astrology, the aspects, everything moves. We feel differently about things. So I want to make sure that can you see, let me just make sure that you can see the full chart. Let me go this way. Aha. So we can see all the aspects here. Now, many of you will also follow my channel as well. So, we know there's that little overlap there, but many of you may not have seen how an astrologer actually looks at a person's chart. And now, of course, I'm a Neo-Vedic astrologer, as you guys will know. What does that mean? It means I do follow the traditional Indian astrology, but I also include the outer planets. And I include two asteroids as well. Chiron and Ceres. All right, so what we do here, we almost always start with the first house. Now, the thing is, when I'm doing like consultations for clients, often I go to the house that I'm most drawn to. But what is the first house? The first house deals with, if I just get this bit here, I've always got this little thing underneath, and I've got extra tracing paper as well for Diane's chart. But if we look here, the first house deals with the top of the head. So it deals with the physical body, the constitution, health, personality, innate inspirations, first impressions, appearance, character, and birth into this world. And it is an angular house and a trinal house. What does that mean? So basically, the first house representing the body is an angular house, and angular houses are like this. So if we imagine spokes on a wheel of a boat, they have power. They have strongly affect all changes in life, and it's a trinal house, and trinal houses are 1, 5, and 9. Angular houses are 1, 4, 7, and 10. So you see, the first house has a big impact. So any planet or planets in the first house also have a big influence on the life and the personality. And if we look here, we can see Diana's got Ketu, the south node of the moon, in the first house. And my nickname for Ketu is what? Snip, snip. It's very spiritual.
Yes.
Yeah, very spiritual. And also in the first house, Diana's got planet Uranus. Now, Uranus is the rebel planet. So what does that mean when we put those energies together? Spiritual rebel.
Agreed.
Diane is a spiritual rebel.
I love
and if
it.
you see here, your rising sign, according to Vedic astrology, is not Scorpio, it's actually Libra. You're a Libra rising sign. So what that means is, what is Libra? Libra is ruled by Venus, and by Venus, who rules Taurus and Libra. Yeah, those are her signs. So you're Venusian. Venus is the ruler of your chart.
Oh, and I channeled the Raw Collective, who was from Venus.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I forgot about that.
Those are my people.
Yes, you're Venusian. Quite literally, you're Venusian.
Literally. Oh, that's so strange. I actually didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, you actually are. There it is. Wherever you see this little line, that is the first house. So the way the first house is decided It is the sign that is rising on the eastern horizon at the time that you're born. And the ascendant lasts for 2 hours. Yeah, 2 hours. And then it changes because there's 12 signs and there's 24 hours in a day. So 2 times 12 equals 24. So it gives you the whole thing. So you are Venusian, and Uranus is about what? Otherworldly things. Uranus
That's
is
my
also
comfort
known,
zone.
yeah, otherworldly things, because Uranus is also the co-ruler of Aquarius, and Aquarius is all about astrology, astronomy, things beyond this world. It's about the future, about technology, innovation, but it's also the planet of lightning, shocks, and surprises, but also as well about freedom. So I'll tell you at the end, when we get round to the 7th house, when Uranus is in the 1st house, it means something very specific for relationships, but I'll save that as we go around.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah? You can't escape now. We're in there. So here we are. We have a Venusian person who is very spiritual and unconventional, but also as well Libra, and Venus is all about charm as well. Particularly Libra is about communication, the dissemination of information and ideas. So that's one of the great things that you do. Great talker, great presentation, always well turned out, color coordinated. That's Venus as well, by the way.
I have to be like, when people are like, oh, you always match so well, and it's like, no, you don't understand. I can't mismatch. I can't, like, cannot. Like, we used to have like this mismatch day in school with socks, and yeah, I couldn't do it.
You're just like, no, can't do it.
No.
Because the thing is, Venus is about aesthetics and also as well about beauty, but how things are put together. She's also the planet of relationships and business as well. So again, and the Venus, or shall I say Libra, represents the masculine expression of Venus. And what Libra is also about is about contracts, due diligence, law, lawyers, lawmakers as well, in the actual practical sense. So as well, it also shows as well skills with business and stuff like that, and organization, which we also know is a part of your life. So isn't that fascinating, just from that one house?
And I do belong to the Animal Defense League, you know, and those are the people that get the lawyers that, and because that's who I try to give my money to, is the ones that actually finance the lawyers to change the laws in the country so animals are treated better. So
wow. See, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Isn't that interesting?
I've never told you that, but yeah, that's like a big part of my
life.
Wow.
There it is. There it is there. So if we look here now, the 2nd house, now what is the first 4 houses, first 4 houses in any chart, they deal with childhood. So we can go here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this little quadrant here, so we can see there's a lot of planets here, which shows an eventful childhood. But if we look here, now here we've got Neptune in the 2nd house. Now this is really interesting. What does Neptune do? Neptune is known as the great dissolver. He dissolves the boundaries between the 3-dimensional world and the realms beyond. So if I just pull the tracing paper across and then just flip it up this time, and we can just see what's the 2nd house all about. So the 2nd house deals with the face, neck, the teeth, the voice, early childhood, food and diet, music, education, money, speech, singing, vision, the right eye in particular, values, self-values, and family values. So there you've got Neptune giving that influence. Yeah, if we look here, giving that influence. And what it can mean is it can mean having supernatural experiences in childhood.
As a child, oh, that was my whole childhood. I mean, those are probably my most vivid memories. Yeah. You know, the beings that would come into my room, you know, I quickly realized now I was a psychic medium, but at the time it was just all these entities that came in, angels, ETs, people that have crossed over, my deceased grandfather, animals in spirit. Yeah,
like
I
that.
had a lot of that growing up. That just sums up my childhood right there.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can see here how this there is this kind of, once we understand certain meanings and different things, there's this kind of practicality to literally like charts and stuff. And if we also see here, it's in the sign of Scorpio, and Scorpio is the esoteric sign. It rules over the eighth house, which we all know I refer to as the house of what? Sex, death, and rock and roll. So what it means is here you've got Neptune in Scorpio, which is like opening a trapdoor to all sorts of esoteric and unusual experiences while you were growing up. There you are. Great
Yeah.
intuition, psychic ability, all of that stuff. So we can see that essentially is coming from Neptune. Yeah.
Interesting.
And then if we go over to your third house, what's the third house about? Again, the third house is about communication. So if we look here, but I'll read off for you. Third house, and this will make you chuckle. So it deals with the hands, the arms, and the upper lungs and hearing. It deals with courage, primary thoughts, the thinking mind. It deals with the life force, the creative arts.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it deals with competition, siblings, sales, self-employment, language, travel, writing, self-made money. It also deals with entertainers of all kinds, all forms of communication, and siblings.
Yeah, I have a lot of them.
Yeah. So here you have got Venus. That's Venus. Oh my goodness. I was literally run out of tape as well, otherwise I would have taken that down a bit more. Literally, I've been, as you guys know, I've been running out of absolutely everything. I just need to do a big shot. So here, if we look here now, this Venus is in the nakshatra, the star cluster, which is called Mula, which is in Sagittarius. And Mula means tearing up by the roots and then inserting something else to grow. Mula is also associated with healers. Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
So here, you've got the planet of the arts in the third house, which deals with entertainers and skills and all that stuff. It deals with performers. And if I remember correctly, you used to dance as well, didn't you?
That's how I spent the first half of my life, was in the ballet world. So from the time I was 4 until I was in my 20s. Yeah.
Wow. So you see
Absolutely.
here, the Venus, which also deals with the planet, which is the planet of entertainments, the arts, everything like that. So in a way, this Venus is saying, there's no business like show business. Yeah, it's like that. Because here she can get a lot done because she's in the third house of communication. It can also show as well, Venus also represents finance. And because the third house is siblings, it can show some of the siblings may be involved in finance.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, most of my siblings were actually at one point. Plus also too, because they were so much older, they helped me with finances. I was, 21 years younger. So,
Wow.
especially like if mom and dad said no to something, I mean, I'm the youngest of 6. So there's always a big brother or sister that'll say yes and give you the money for something or take you somewhere or buy you something. So, yeah.
Isn't that amazing? So interesting. Do you see? And it's how literal it can be.
But that's it's literally that was part of my childhood too, right?
Yeah, because the funny thing is, like, what I thought, and I've said this to my clients, as I started doing astrology professionally, I thought it was going to become more esoteric, more otherworldly, more strange. No, become more literal. So here, this also discusses an element of your character, but it also talks about the siblings as well. And you're like, wow, yeah. So there's that.
Yeah.
And here, if we look at the fourth house, now what's the fourth house? The fourth house deals with real estate. It also deals with the home. It deals with the parents, but the mother in particular. And here you'll see there is a stellium here, and it's in the sign of Capricorn. Now, this is very interesting because here Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, but Saturn is an enemy to the sun and the moon and Mars. Yeah. So there's a little bit of kind of like, oh, something a little bit tricky there. But what's interesting here is You see, the moon here represents the mind overall, our instinctive responses to things, how we instinctively adapt. And Saturn is a cold, dry planet. And what he does is, Saturn also is a bit of a perfectionist, like Venus. So what that can suggest is that Dianne is very organized, and she'll get very upset if you move her stuff around and put
Yes.
stuff in the wrong place.
Everything has a home. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Absolutely. Everything has a home. Because if we think, when we look at Saturn, Saturn is a beautiful planet, but think of all those rings of Saturn. And Saturn's rings are maintained by 2 of his moons so that they can stay what? Perfect. So Saturn is about being able to perfect something, put a lot of energy into something as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Saturn also deals with business and stuff like that. And if we also look here, Mercury is here, planet of communication. And Mercury, Venus, and Saturn, they're all friends, and they all do well in each other's signs. But here, Mercury is the planet of business. So if you think, and it's also combined with the moon, which deals with the mind. So you know what happens? That speeds up the mind. You're a really quick thinker, but you may sometimes struggle to sleep at night because your mind is like.
That's why I had to learn how to meditate. Yes. Because it just goes too fast. And then I'll overthink and overanalyze, and that's not healthy.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
But that's part of being a perfectionist too, you know, like it's kind of all tied in.
It's all tied in. Yeah, because if you're a perfectionist, you are going to obsess over the details. Because here, this means the sun, the moon, and Mercury are all paying rent to Saturn because they're in his house. It's just like Monopoly. You know, when you play Monopoly and you land on Park Lane and you're like, oh my goodness, yeah, because you have to pay rent because a planet will own a certain sign. So that's really interesting. But Mercury is also a planet of business. But you'll also notice the sun is here, and that deals with the kingdom, where the first kingdom is. So this suggests that there's something about the kingdom that is to do with the home. But yet it's combined with Mercury, which is business, and Saturn is a planet of business, and so is Venus.
And I work out of my home.
Right. You work from home. Yeah.
Oh, that's so crazy how that shows up. That's crazy.
It's amazing, isn't it? So we see here you work from home because here your Venus is in the house of entertainers, and the 3rd house deals with commerce and stuff like that, communication. And then the second business planet, Mercury, is in your 4th house of home. And it's in the sign of Saturn, which is also business. But here, the moon also represents the mother. Yeah, which is really interesting. So what that can represent as well, it shows that your mother, while she was here, was quite stoic. Yeah, and
extremely.
Quite she would have a Saturnian quality. So she wasn't easy to bend to anyone's will. Yeah.
She's like stubborn.
Stubborn.
I mean, she even picked when she was going to die. Like literally, she was that stubborn. Like, I'm doing it in my own way, at my own. She signed herself up for hospice. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, she was that stubborn. Yes.
Yeah. So because what it does is it means when the moon is in Capricorn, it means that the mother has this practicality to her, this shrewdness.
Very practical. Yeah.
Stoicism, and just like, you know, because it's an earth sign, it's a practical sign. But also as well, the sun can represent the father as well. I don't know if you necessarily want to speak about him, but this here, it's in Shravana. See, now your sun here, the kingdom is in a nakshatra called Shravana. And the symbol for Shravana is the ear. And it means being able to hear the voice of God. How interesting is that?
Father?
Not only your father, but also you as well, because this is also your kingdom.
I take after him. Like, right. Because my mom was so different. I mean, like you said, she's very stoic, very stubborn. Very, like, my parents were like night and day, you know? My dad was the kind of person that played the drums and jumped out of airplanes, and, you know? very different mindset. But in his own way, I think he was spiritual and that sort of thing.
Yeah, he must have been, or he would have at least would have had to have had good hearing, because you said he's a drummer. So this is about being
Yes.
able to listen and absorb. And it also means as well, sometimes it can mean the nighttime sleep can be easily disturbed because your ears never quite switch off, because you're always connected to what the voices, as it were, of the realms beyond. So it shows here that that can indicate that a lot of your intuitive abilities you probably have got from your father's side.
That's
even though your
interesting.
mum
He was
could
more
do that.
open-minded. Yeah, my mom was psychic for sure. But my dad was far more open-minded.
Yeah, yeah. So that is sort of like showing that as well. So isn't that interesting as well?
That is interesting.
There's that element there. Now, if we look here, if we go up to, we can just skip the fifth house. There's no planet in there. It doesn't mean the fifth house doesn't work. It's just not overemphasized. Yeah.
It's quiet.
It's just more quiet. It's just more quiet. And the fifth house deals with creativity. It also deals with children, but not always necessarily physical children. It can be any creative idea or concept that we have. But when we go up here to Jupiter, we see, sorry, the sixth house, we see Jupiter is in there in its own sign. Now, this is really good on one level, but on another level, it's a little bit tricky, and I'll explain why. All right, so if we go here, you finding this interesting so far?
I am. Yeah, I think this is, and I'm looking at the comments, and everybody else is too. So.
Oh, brilliant! That's all good. So the sixth house is a complex house. It's known as the Dhisthana house, which means it's not an easy house. Yeah, it's not easy, but it's upachaya, which means it improves with time. So listen to this. Now your Jupiter is here, and Jupiter is guru. Yeah, guru, which is like the teacher. Yeah. So if we look here, the sixth house deals with health and overcoming obstacles. So it can deal with pets. It can deal with divorce, lawsuits, debts, food and diet, accidents, thieves, enemies, challenging competition, but it can also deal with police and military. It deals with healing therapies of all kinds.
Interesting.
Deals with practical skills, repetitive tasks. It's known as the house of saints and sinners, but it's mainly about service, and it also deals with hotels and restaurants as well. So the sixth house is where we serve. And you've got Guru in the sixth house, in the sign of Pisces. Yeah. And it's in the nakshatra, which is called Revati. And Revati is a star cluster. And the deity associated with Revati is called Pushyan. Pushyan is known as the shepherd of the gods. And what Pushyan does is that Pushyan makes sure that everyone is safe and well, and also helps people and animals that are helpless in some kind of way. Yeah, Pushyan scoops them up and shepherds them to a better place. Isn't that interesting? Also, as well.
I like that.
Yeah. Also, as well, Pisces is a very empathic sign. People that are empaths, for all my clients that are empaths, they all have planets in Pisces. So you can see here, Jupiter is expanding that empathy. And also as well, Pisces is about having no boundaries. So what can actually happen here, though, and I'm sure you'll recognize this, sometimes there can be boundary issues when it comes to people.
Right. Like, yeah, like I've definitely tried to help people too much. I've let them in too much. You not set up good boundaries, especially if they were like a narcissist or toxic. Yeah, that's a life lesson for sure.
Absolutely. Everyone who's got a planet here in Revati will all have to learn that lesson of where to put my boundaries. But Jupiter is an optimistic planet. He's the natural ruler of Pisces. So here there's still this great optimism and appetite to help humanity and do the right thing, but it shows that has affected your boundaries at some point of who not to let in as well, because you kind of want to help everyone. Yeah.
Exactly.
So you kind of like,
and you can't.
Absolutely. So instinctively, there'll be part of you be like, you know what, this person's kind of dodgy, but I like to believe in the best. So let's just see what happens.
Right?
And then you go,
Yes.
I knew it. I knew it. Yeah.
That is so me. Yes.
Yeah. And what's interesting is this. Now we know you've been having some issues with the sinuses, and this can be a bit of the shadow of Jupiter, because the 6th house deals with health and overcoming obstacles, health and healing. But what do you think what happens when you have a big gaseous planet that expands things all the time? Right. Allergies, sometimes things to do with health, yeah? And what's interesting here is, so even though Jupiter's in his own sign, it does mean he has these associations with health. So wherever he looks will affect things. And this is something quite interesting. Recently, when Jupiter debilitated in the sign of Capricorn, it means his aspect changed. Now, Jupiter, like Rahu and Ketu, the nodes of the moon, he looks 5 places from himself, 7 places from himself, all planets which look straight ahead, and 9 places from himself. That's the trine. Saturn looks 3 places, 7 places, and 10 places, and Mars looks 4 places, 7 places, and 8 places. So if we look at this, now remember, Taurus is about what? The face. Yeah? Taurus is about the face. So from here to here is Taurus, right? And if we look here where I've done the overlay, Jupiter has moved back into Capricorn. So, and Jupiter deals with optimism, money, and all that stuff. And you remember we say there was going to be some kind of financial correction or something to do with finances, real estate, all that kind of stuff. But when Jupiter moved back into Capricorn, look where he's looking. He's looking at Taurus. Taurus, the face. Sense.
Right.
And he's in your 6th house, which is what? Health.
Health.
And here he's looking at Mars, which is in your 8th house, which is a very changeable house. But Mars also deals with the blood, like the moon. Sinuses started playing up.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, and I started to get the nosebleeds all over again, and it was so bad last week. It was awful. I got like nothing accomplished for days.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that's spot on.
Isn't that it? And it's a bit spooky, isn't it? Because you're like, oh my God. Right. But there we are. So this aspect will end. So I think later on in November, basically Jupiter will move out of sidereal Capricorn, out of his debilitation, and he will go into Aquarius. But what is, when planets change directions, when they slow down, that's when they can give results. So Jupiter and Saturn are both slowing down at the moment because they're about to go direct. But when he was debilitating and slowing down, he was literally looking at Taurus and affecting the face. What happened with me? Yeah. If we think, my eyes were dodgy last week.
Right. Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Yeah, because he was looking at Taurus, the face. Right. Yeah, the face, all that stuff. And in the comments as well, people were like, oh, my eyes are itching, or people had to have dental work or nosebleeds or something, anything to do with senses. Yeah, very interesting that, isn't it? So if we look here, if we look at your 7th house, and here we are. Now, this is very interesting. Now, the 7th house deals with relationships, business, and all that kind of stuff. And here you've got Chiron, the wounded healer, in the 7th. Now, wherever Chiron is, it shows where we can receive the wound in life, or we're trying to heal others, or often both. The 7th house is anyone that's not us. So it also deals with business and the outside world. It's also known as the house of fame. So someone who's got Chiron in the 7th house or the 10th house, like I have, It means they do some form of healing, which is to do with the public. Isn't
Oh,
that
that's very
interesting?
interesting, isn't it?
The
Right.
seventh house and the 10th house are both very public houses. It's where we meet the other. So
Right.
here you've got your Chiron in here just, and here it is with Rahu. Now, Rahu, is that Rahu? Yes, it is. No, what am I on about? Is that Rahu or Ketu? Oh my God, now I'm confused. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is that Chiron is here. So what it can also mean, there might be, there could be an element of a wound when it comes to marriage. And do you remember I said I was going to talk about the first house? Now, whenever Uranus is in the first house, Uranus is about innovation and new things. But guess what? Uranus is also known as the planet of divorce.
And I am divorced indeed. And I was never in a rush to remarry after that.
Absolutely. So what it means is it doesn't necessarily mean it is a block to marriage. No.
Right.
What
I don't think it is, but I needed to heal for sure.
Indeed, indeed. And what I've found is this: when a person has got Uranus in the first house, it means they know when their marriage is over and it's time to move on. Very interesting that it gives the courage to be like, no, this isn't working anymore.
Right.
And I've got a client, I won't say what her name is, but she knows who she is. And I saw she had Uranus in the first house. And I said, all right, come on, how many marriages? And she burst out laughing. She said, well, this is my fourth.
Oh my gosh. Oh, see, wow. That's.
But this one stuck around. Yeah, this one stuck around. Because they've been married for a long time, about 17 years. And what it means is,
oh wow,
it doesn't mean a person can't get married. What it means is that within marriage, one needs one's identity and freedom. Anyone that tries to impinge, anyone that tries to control, anyone that says, where's my dinner? Blah, blah, blah. You're like, it's in the cat. Yeah, most probably.
Yeah.
It's about being free. It's about being free, and it's about being yourself. Yeah. So there's that element there. And then just moving on, Mars in the 8th house, very dynamic. It deals with the esoteric world, the world that's beyond. But it can also as well make a person accident prone as well from time to time. And I remember you mentioning being crashed into and, you know, stuff like that. That kind of stuff can be Mars. Yeah. But also as well, Mars can also represent our siblings, but brothers in particular.
So I live with my brother.
Isn't that interesting? And here, it's here with the asteroid Ceres, and Ceres represents children, yeah? Or devotion, where we're giving our love and devotion and our commitment. So it can literally also mean there is a brother that is somewhat like a child.
Oh, you have no idea. Yes.
Very interesting that, isn't it? You're like, oh my God.
I mean, technically, I'm the youngest, but
because Ceres is
looking after.
Absolutely, because wherever Ceres is, we feel we naturally look after that thing, that house or that planet. So here we can see you're looking after a brother.
So yeah, I do. I take care of him.
Yeah, so interesting. And then you see here, Mars is also aspects in the 3rd house, which is siblings. Yeah. But guess what? Venus represents female siblings in particular. So look, the brother relies on a sister. Very interesting that, isn't it? These things.
Have to agree.
Yeah. So moving on, we're going to look at your 10th house and then your 12th house. 10th house is the house of career. So if we look here, so what is the 10th house? So the 10th house deals with public duty, career, presidents, reputation, bosses, fame, father's wealth, honors, vocation, purpose, status, government, and authority figures and highest achievements. And you've got Saturn there. Wow. So Saturn is naturally the ruler of the 10th house because Capricorn is the 10th sign. But if we look here, Capricorn is here, Saturn is sitting in the sign of Cancer. So you see, he's in the 10th house, but he's also aspecting his tenant. So here, what this means, basically, it means that one takes one's career very seriously. But it also means, because it's in the sign of Cancer, which is about nurturing, looking after things. So you feel a real responsibility to look after people. Yeah, look after people.
Yeah, for sure.
Make sure that they're all right. Saturn also deals with people that are older, deals with grandparents, grandfather, grandmother. And if I recall correctly, used to be a director, whatever, in a nursing home.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I mean, one half of my life in ballet, then the next half working with elders.
There it is, working with elders, your career. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's in the sign of Cancer, which is about nurturing others, because it's in the nakshatra Pushya. And Pushya means mother's milk. So it's how we nurture others and basically just look after their needs. And I just find that so interesting because it's in your career house. Fascinating that.
That's funny. Yeah? It is, yeah.
And it shows you had a leadership role as well. You had a leadership role.
Yeah,
you
I was a director.
Yeah, you had to direct, because here the 10th house is about leaders, directors, CEOs. and the sign of Saturn is about responsibility. But what it could also mean as well is there was too much pressure in that house, in that career, because Saturn is a planet of pressure, and the 10th house is a house of pressure anyway. So that's extra pressure. So at some point you're like, sorry, I need to stop. Yeah, I need to stop.
Right, because they weren't funding us appropriately. And what do you do about that? I mean, there was no way of me fixing it. So yeah, it was just too much pressure, because my patients weren't getting what they needed, and I had to watch that every day. And
absolutely.
And at some point, I just came to the realization that, well, if I'm not part of the solution, then I'm part of the problem. And I thought it was better to leave. But yeah, our nursing homes are in a dire state over here for sure, even before the pandemic.
Absolutely. And Saturn is what? Restrictions, but rules and regulations. Saturn has a lot to do as well with sometimes there not being enough. Yeah, because he likes to restrict things, pressure things down. So you were there. So you had all of the responsibility.
Right.
But you
none
weren't
of the tools
given the resources. Yeah, you weren't given the resources to carry out care, which is the sign of Cancer. So interesting. So you had to move on.
And it's funny that you said rules and regulations, because if you don't have what you need, then you're breaking the rules and regulations of the state, and then you're going to be on the line. And so, yeah, it is a mess. It's a quandary for sure.
Yeah, it's a quandary. And Saturn, of course, also represents government, rules, regulations. And then when we look here, Pluto in the 12th house. Wow. Yeah. Pluto represents the 8th house on his own. So it's death, rebirth, transformation, all of that stuff. The 12th house can also deal with endings and beginnings. It's like the world card. Really, the 12th house is the world card. Think of all of those connotations, but also deals with foreign lands, travel, islands, forests. Yeah, all that stuff deals with the feet as well. So here, this also shows your feet. And of course, you used to be what? On point.
Right. And I've talked about, like, because my feet are double jointed now. They're like, yeah. Which is why I end up wearing heels a lot.
Yeah, that's Pluto there as well. And it also means like rejuvenation, like a phoenix rising from the ashes. There's that. But also as well, the 12th house is a very psychic house. So it means you're also a person who is gifted with the gift of psychic transformation. But there is more. Now, what I'm going to do here is, in hot pink, I'm just going to take that off because I've shown that aspect. And don't worry, you'll be able to read tarot for me soon, because I mean, I'm in the last house now, but I just thought to cover these things. Now, what happens here? Let me just make sure that I am correct on this. Yes, I am. So you have what I refer to as a psychic trine. You have a stargate in your chart. Anyone that's got a Stargate in their chart will be involved in very spiritual things. And my mind has just been jogged. Mark says hello, by the way. M-A-R-C. Mark.
Hello, Mark. Good to see
Mark,
you.
Mark says hello. I had a consultation with him yesterday, and it went into the small hour. I can't even remember. I'm kind of a bit jet lagged right now, but it was brilliant. We had a great time.
He is in the comments. I did see him in the
Oh,
comments.
is he?
And
hey,
also,
Mark,
too, so is Marie and Lady G, and Mojo gave us a donation. So thank you, Mojo.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, guys. So I want you guys to see this. So Dianne, like myself as well, I've got this as well. I think Lady G has got this as well. Most of the psychics will have something like this. So watch this, the 12th house. Now, there are psychic houses. 4, 8, and 12 are psychic. So look at this. So if we join up here, so you've got your Mars at 21 degrees, 44 minutes. And your Pluto is at 18 degrees. So if we do this, they're connected. Yeah, they're very close in degree, particularly when it's within 5 degrees. And then the sun in your chart is at 15 degrees, 54 minutes. So that's getting very close and stuff like that with Mars. So you put that there. And then, of course, we then join up that Pluto, which is also having a relationship with the sun. Oops. So there, do you see it?
Wow, that's interesting.
They're
connected.
That's your Stargate. And anyone who has a Stargate, that's where the other realms from above can come in. It's just like that film, Stargate, you know?
Right,
so here,
yes.
Think about the things, the Ra Collective, the Law of One.
Like literally a Stargate. I'm opening portals to channel. It's
Absolutely. And we see here, because it's connected with the sun, because the sun is at that closest degree to the others, it's part of your kingdom, which is something that you do as well. It's in the 4th house, which you do from home. That's crazy. Also as well, the 4th house is also the heart chakra, deals with the heart chakra. So here, the sun is anchored in your heart chakra, and it means you're able to use the energies of Mars in the 8th house, and then Pluto as well. So that is profound insights that come from above. So I just thought I would share that.
I love that. That is like so cool. You can't make that sort of thing up.
Exactly. So there it is. So I hope you found that interesting.
Thank you so much. Yes, no, that was fascinating. And I think everyone else thought it was really interesting too, because they're all making comments and yes. Oh my gosh, that is awesome.
So one thing I'll do quickly, Dianne has allowed me very generously a little plug. Yeah.
Yes.
So you guys, so here, if you use this code, now I've done it on my channel anyway, but if you type in Hoagie20, you get 20% off all of my consultations. So if you found that interesting, but also as well, I wanted to do something because things are a bit choppy, aren't they, Dianne, for a lot of people? There's a lot of change. And I was like, you know what? I should do a discount so people can, you know, if they want to have something, then they can at least come.
Sure.
So,
I mean, your readings are amazing. And the people were also commenting that have had your readings and they're like, oh, they were so good. I've been to him like 3 times.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, guys. Amazing. Thanks so much. Right.
Oh, and thank you, Christopher. All right. So now it's your turn. I am going to read you. Are you nervous? So this is really nice that this happened today, because whenever I talk to someone, and I've talked to you many times now, I will get glimpses of their spirit guide, but I wasn't really sure like who your guide was, where they were from. Just, I could see that it was like a light being. It felt like it was a golden white light, but I didn't really get who it was because I wasn't trying to either. It's just, they're in your energetic field. I'm talking to you, I'm in your energetic field, and they start to merge. But every morning when I wake up, I do start to channel the Ra Collective, and I let whatever come through.
Mm.
And so this is really interesting. So this part is actually from the Rock Collective, and this happens a lot with clients too. And
Wow.
the funny
Okay.
part is I don't have it memorized, like who my clients are for the day, but I
Mhm.
don't have to because they do. And so I got some information about your starseed origin because it is like tentacles of light, which I know is a giveaway that it's Cassiopeian, but I didn't see the tentacles as being probably quite so big. So the Cassiopeian starseed system, very high density, very energetic. You would
Mhm.
be like feeling like an old soul down here. You know,
Yes.
you'd be like a wanderer, not someone that has any karmic ties to the planet. You're just here to help. That's it.
Mhm.
You know, usually people like yourself, you don't make a big karmic footprint. You don't usually have children, things like that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Sort of like myself, we're just here to help. And so we're not
Yeah.
going to create karma. So, you know, um, and the Cassiopeian spirit guides will project themselves to you. So you don't have to be from Cassiopeia to have one of the spirit guides, but you do. So you do have a connection to Cassiopeia. I don't know if you ever felt like anything special with that constellation,
You
because you
know,
don't hear, when it comes to star seeds, you don't hear much about them.
no, it's sort of like one of the first that I've heard about it, but I know I certainly have very powerful guides. And when I've been reading
Mm-hmm.
for clients, they've then started to read for me and see these different things. But I know I took way ages ago before I was into doing all this stuff professionally, but back in my early 20s, I remember I took an aura picture. And the person who, when the Polaroid developed, she was like, "Oh my goodness, you've got orbs in your aura."
Oh,
And
and
I had
that's
about at
exactly what
least
the
three.
Cassiopeians do. Yes.
Really?
They're the ones that manifest the orbs. They can like project themselves.
Wow.
So that's
So I had
interesting.
three. I think
Yes.
that she said I had three orbs.
People usually do. Well, they'll usually have about three guides. So that would make sense. So
Wow.
that's interesting. And usually when a Cassiopeian starseed comes down, they're very artistic. They're into the arts. They're good with the arts. They also like aesthetics. And because of that, they have a connection to Archangel Jophiel, because Jophiel likes to beautify things. That's what he does or she does.
And I went to art school. Was a bona
Oh,
fide artist. Yeah. I even illustrated a children's book once upon a time, and I have lots of
oh.
artwork in my flat. Yeah. Actually, what I'll do is I'll
And
do a little
Jophiel
thing.
would actually help with that. That's part of what Jophiel does.
I'll show you I'll show you a self-portrait that I did once upon a time because I was on this competition called the Sky Arts Portrait Artist of the Year Award. You see that? You
Oh
see
my
that?
gosh, you did that. That is
Yeah.
amazing. Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. So now we've seen this whole other side of you.
There we are. So you
Well,
see?
you know what? The Ra are never wrong. I always take whatever they tell me as gospel
There we
because
are. So
but you may
yeah,
want to start actually connecting with Archangel Jophiel, because
maybe I
I
should.
feel like, you know, they're already in your energetic field, I feel. So and what's funny too about Cassiopeians, when they come down here, oftentimes they are on the taller side and they're thin. They have a tendency to be slender. So they actually
Wow.
kind of do look like you, which is interesting.
I
They're
am quite
great
tall. I'm almost 6
humanitarians.
foot. Huh?
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is
Almost,
it,
almost,
it's so
almost,
funny because people
almost 6
never
foot.
see our legs, you know?
Yeah. So I'm quite tall. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Slim as
Um,
well. Yeah.
so let me open up to your guide because I can sense them, because sometimes just talking about them will make them come in. And let
Okay.
me see what they have to say. First thing is you're going to be traveling in the spring,
Oh.
and they're showing me someplace warm that's near water. And not for work, not for business. So it looks like there's going to be an opportunity in the spring, which also makes me think you won't be in lockdown in the spring,
Right.
which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah. We're
That's
still we're still doing good. They're going to try and avoid lockdowns in the UK,
good.
but we're still doing good. Yeah.
That's good. Your guide is talking about a need to create a work-life balance starting in December, because you're going to have like an influx of work and they
Right.
don't want you getting like tired and run down.
Oh, okay.
They're also saying you're a natural manifester, so watch your thoughts. Thoughts become
Ooh.
things. And for you, they become things a little bit faster. So watch your thoughts.
What was that about faster? I missed that bit.
You you manifest things a bit faster
I do.
because you're a
Yeah.
natural
Yeah.
manifester.
True.
So if
It's
you're
true.
sitting there thinking negative things, like you're worrying, you're going to manifest that just as fast as you would something good. So like your
Right.
guide is saying, you know, watch your thoughts because
Yeah, I
things
do.
are going to
It's true.
really get busy for you. Like come the holidays.
Wow.
And they're showing you creating a virtual class. It's not like an in-person thing. This is because they're showing me a laptop and like a website, but they're showing me two. They're saying two classes. One one is Vedic, and one is something to do with the planets, specifically with the planets,
Wow.
which is going to be your segue into writing a book.
Right. All right. This is so funny because I am actually an author. Okay, I am actually an author, and I write historical adventure fiction. And I've got a series of books called the Herma Porter series. But there's something weird which happened with Amazon, which is for some reason they decided to banish my account. I've got no idea, can't get any rhyme or reason out of
That's
them. Yeah.
awful.
And it's just a weird thing. And they were like, oh, you've got multiple accounts. I'm like, no, I haven't. I've got one account. Why can't you just tell me what's going on in this, that, and the other? Anyway,
Right.
but it's still available as ebooks, and I've not taken them down. People are actually still able to purchase them, but I don't get any of the profits. So I've been wondering what to do. I've been umming and ahhing about these books, yeah, what to do. And I've been thinking about changing them onto another platform or stuff like that.
Oh.
But what's interesting is that I completed the first draft of a book last year, October. But it was,
Oh.
well, the pandemic was happening and all that kind of stuff. But it is based on astrology in terms of for the UK. But I've also been thinking about another book which is specific to the planets. And that book I want to write about is how the planets can be involved in terms of sickness and disease, and how to heal sickness and disease via the planets. So that's probably the other book. I find that very interesting because I don't normally talk about these things.
No, and I think you may teach it first, or you may write it first. Like they're kind of together. Like one happens and then the other one happens. And your guides are really good communicators. You know, some people's guides, it's like pulling teeth. But the other thing they're saying is that you got a download of information from them 2 new moons ago. So not this last new moon, the new moon before.
Right.
And it raised your vibrations so high that it created sensitivities towards some things that are natural, and they're making me feel like this is food related.
Yeah.
It's like it pulled you out of the earth's energy some. So things that are natural, you kind of like all of a sudden got an allergy to, like a sensitivity. There's something there.
Isn't that interesting? Because I mean, this is uncanny, because this is just something you don't even drop into casual conversation. 2 new moons ago, yes, I just felt I got this absolutely massive download, and I literally felt spaced out for about 3 days.
Well, that's how they're making me feel. It's almost like a dizzy, lightheaded, strange feeling. Yes.
Yeah. It was remarkable, but also as well, it's like it because you remember, like when my eyes were playing up. Now the thing is, I was working with my brother and I was helping him a lot, but it was when we came out from the Indian restaurant, that's when I felt my eyes were sensitive. And then I also had some Thai food Deliveroo, which normally wouldn't be a problem. And I thought, oh, that was affecting things. And it was when I had the Thai food the second time, because I just decided to reheat because I was just so busy and whatever. It was in the fridge, it was safe. But literally about 3 or 4 minutes after eating that, then my eyes got really sensitive. And that was on that Saturday when you weren't feeling very well. And
gosh, no,
it was Lady G, and that's why I was wearing the sunglasses in that film, in that video. So I find that very interesting.
Wow. Yeah, because it was 2 new moons ago, not the last one. And
yeah.
Okay, so they're not going anywhere. Is there something you want me to read on?
Maybe this travel, maybe next year. What is my next year looking at like? Let's go with that.
Okay. Looking at 2022. It feels energetic. It feels very dynamic. Feels like there's a lot of movement.
Wow.
And somebody else is coming in. Who's coming in?
Gosh.
Not an entity that I normally would work with. This is Sekhmet.
Who's that? Wow.
So that's an ancient Egyptian feline goddess. She can heal, she can protect, but typical cat, you don't want to irritate her.
I've always believed that I've had a past life in Egypt somewhere, always, since I was a kid.
Something to do with Sekhmet and her connection to the star system feels Lyran. There is some cat energy in your energetic field. I do pick up on that. And the funny part is I'm not picking up on an actual cat.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like there's a cat in your apartment that I can read on.
No.
But I feel like in your energetic field, there is feline energy coming from a higher place.
The funny thing is, I've always, I don't have it. I'm wondering if I could even find the book. Oh, here it is. Oh my God, look at this. Look at this, guys. This is a book, guys, watching, that I'd kind of forgotten about until you said cats. And I've just looked over to my shelf and I've remembered a book from childhood. Look at this. Now, look, this book here, and you can see it's old. This is so uncanny. I've not looked at this book for years. And one of my favorite, so here we are, look, you can see here, look, it's already got some cats in there.
Oh.
But Siamese cats have always been one of my favorites. So if we look here, look, it's full of these different types of cats. And I used to read this book constantly. How funny is that? Oh.
Isn't that funny? Because I think because you have some sort of starseed connection to the Lyrans, to Sekhmet, and that could be your connections to Egypt too, I suspect.
Isn't that interesting? Look, it's just full of cats.
That is so funny.
I used to read through this book, and I just find it uncanny that you've mentioned that. I've always liked cats. I mean, dogs are lovely. I mean, this was one of my favorite ones. I mean, look at that. I've done drawings of that cat. So, and obviously I won't hold it up too much because your cats might get a little bit jealous, but isn't that interesting?
Both girls are right here.
Oh,
yeah, both girls are overseeing the reading, which they usually do. But so let's see. So looking at 2022, so you kind of start off like right now. I think you might be feeling a bit tired.
Yes.
At the moment, a little bit weary, like this person. You might need a little extra rest.
Jet lagged.
But I suspect you're probably feeling maybe a bit antsy because the obstacle for you right now is the world. And so I find that when that's somebody's obstacle, they're just so ready for something to change. They want that new phase to begin. They're ready for the old cycle to end. So you may be feeling a bit antsy right now, like you're anticipating something to change, and it is. I mean, looking at your cards, they definitely are.
Mm.
Um, Looking at your conscious and subconscious thoughts, conscious thoughts, you're pretty content. You're feeling fulfilled and happy. Um, Subconscious, thinking about a potential partner.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that comes up a couple of times.
Oh,
Um, in the past, something made you feel really restricted and tied down.
oh God, yeah.
And I would say it may have to do with relationships. That's what I would lean towards.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, there's that, but also as well, like years ago, I mean, even work and stuff like that. If you can imagine, I've had a complete change of career, and it really started. I mean, COVID for me, as we know, I mean, it's been terrible for many. It's been terrible for many, but also as well, not terrible for everyone in the sense of gave a great
Exactly.
opportunity to change. But that is definitely how I felt in the past. I just felt constrained by
Strict.
the economy, circumstances, the work that I had to do and stuff.
Right.
And it was like once the lockdowns came, I started my channel in lockdown, pretty much like similar time to you. I think
Yeah,
in a matter of weeks, and that just
that is so
completely changed
funny.
my life. So yeah,
Yeah. Right. And I would probably say, yeah, before I started my channel, I was feeling this energy too, for sure.
yeah.
So your next 3 months, they're gonna get good. It's a whole turning
Wow.
point in your life. So, the world card will be activated, but it's gonna take a couple of months. So what is it, October? So there's something about the holidays in you. There where I think there's just gonna be a lot of energy. It's gonna be really good. But like your guides are saying too, don't overdo it, don't do too much. But
Okay.
you'll start to come into your karmic destiny, your fate. And I think that's where you're going to be designing these courses and working with the books too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I have been
that'll
kind
be
of
the start of
that.
it.
Wow.
So the way you see yourself, you're somebody who is reflective, introspective, meditative,
True.
which I would agree with. I would say the way other people see you is like there's a relationship coming. I think those who know you best, they know something's up. That's the sense I get.
Wow. Wow. But also as well, the lovers is very much that energy, what at least in the positive of partnership,
Right.
agreements,
So they
all of that
right.
kind of stuff as well. Mm,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they would look at you as somebody who is like loving and kind and agreeable and yes, for sure.
mm,
Um your fears and dreams, you don't want to feel burdened and oppressed again.
true.
Like you broke out of this energy and you don't want to go back to it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So interesting. So looking out further into 2022 for you, you really start assessing things. You come up with new plans, new strategies, you're taking stock of everything. And then you take this big leap of faith. And that's when
Wow.
everything just sort of changes. Opportunities start to come in, your timeline is starting to speed up, and then
Wow.
all of your wishes and dreams start to come true. So, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you may feel really antsy because, like, there's a big holdup at the moment because the timing is just not right now. It's a few months from now. So, yeah, I mean, I think 2022, you're going to be creating those courses, writing books. You're going to have a lot of clients. It's going to be a lot more dynamic and also like a partnership too. So, you're going
Wow.
to have a busy year ahead of you.
That is remarkable. Wow. Oh, I really
I hope
appreciate
that
that.
was
That
helpful.
is fascinating. That's fascinating. My wow. 2022,
Something
eh?
to think
My
about. Yeah, 2022. And the thing is, I think you feel like, oh, 2021 was really good. But I think 2022 is going to be even better.
wow.
That's
Wow.
the thing. I think it's going to just get like you're just going to keep growing and expanding upon what you're doing, and you're not stopping. I feel like you're
Wow.
moving forward. I keep seeing the chariot, so like you're moving
Yeah.
forward with 2022.
I do feel that energy as well. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
goodness. Thank you so much for that.
You are so
Wow.
welcome.
That
That was
was
fun.
fascinating. So funny with the cat thing as well. because literally when you said cats, I was like, oh my God, my book from childhood. I mean, you see, I've literally
And it's
took the
sitting
book off
there.
the shelf, and that is a book I used to read a lot. I've always felt like when it comes to cat, as much as I love dogs, but I've never been a dog person. Cats, me and cats are just like, and they always come after me as well. They're always purring, wanting to, and I'm like, no, you
Oh,
can't live with me.
see.
I'm too busy. But I just found that
Yeah.
fascinating, you know, because there it is. Look at that. I think it's called Your Cats and Kittens.
Your
Look
guys.
at them,
So even as
sweet,
a child, like you
sweet.
felt that Lyran connection, and that probably reminded you a bit of home because there was a
Yeah.
time, because you have to remember all these star seeds, they live forever, right? So if you had a Lyran incarnation, it would have gone on for thousands of years. So you could
Wow.
have been, with these cat people for like thousands of years. And so then you come down here and you attract, feline sort of goddesses. And as a child, you
Wow.
have cat books.
That is uncanny. Wow, thanks so much for that. Because you can't fake that. You see, I've just got the book. It's been on my shelf
That's hilarious.
for ages, and I'd never even thought about it until you said, and it was just like straight away. Ah, amazing. Well, I see
Oh
we've
my
run
gosh.
over,
You know,
so
it's funny.
I don't want to keep you going. Sorry.
No. But Lady G is in here, and she said that like I had predicted down to the day when she was going to move. Yes, I actually remember giving her that reading, and I felt so bad because I could tell like it wasn't going to happen as fast as she wanted to, and I was like, I felt so bad, Lady G.
Wow.
I was right, but it's like one of those times that it's like you don't want to be right, like you want the person to get that home. But yes, we have to
Wow.
wrap it up because we'll be back doing this tomorrow.
Yes, back tomorrow on my channel. And I'll tell you something funny as
Yes.
well. This will crack you up. Planet Venus, her colors are sky blue, light blues, and white. And I noticed that we're both
How funny.
wearing, yep, and her
Yes.
day of the week is Friday. So we're both
Here we are.
Venetian, yeah? I just thought I'd just share that little thing.
That's crazy. Wow. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you everybody for watching. I appreciate it. Until next time. Bye,
Until
everybody.
next time. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.